just yesterday as of filming, it was leaked that McFarlane is coming out with Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, and Absolute Wonder Woman. Now that excites me to no end because the line is ending and I want some absolutes. But I've already done a really cool Absolute Batman and an Absolute Superman, and while I will be buying the Absolute Batman and Absolute Superman from McFarlane, first of all, we're gonna do our own Absolute Wonder Woman, and we're gonna use this movie figure because she's really tall in comparison to the other figures, so she's gonna look right with these two figures, and we are gonna make her a custom Absolute Wonder Woman. And then once they come out, I'll buy them and we'll put them next to each other and see which ones we like better. Probably McFarlane's, but you know, maybe I'll get lucky. Now, the things that stand out most about Absolute Wonder Woman is the big silver symbol on her chest and her sword. So I took this sword from the He-Man that I made last year and gave him just a big sword, but she has basically a rectangular sword like this. So we were gonna turn this into her sword. And then I got some milliput here and I got some glue in place, and I'm going to get this in place and get it kind of molded. And then we'll take an X-Acto knife and we'll cut it so that she has her symbol. So I'm gonna just get this in place right now, and then we will cut the Wonder Woman symbol into it. So there we go, that's looking pretty good. Smooth it out a little bit more. Then I've got a little bit of milliput left, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll it and I'm gonna put a little bit more hair on her because she's normally shown with just a little bit more like hair blowing to the one side. So I'm just gonna thin this out, lay it on there, get a couple extra strands of hair. But already, you can imagine what this is gonna look like when we've got a platinum on it. It's gonna look really, really good. And the great thing is that this is always shown in the comics as, you know, big and like handmade, and so you can get away, like it doesn't have to be like perfect and machine made. It's a piece of armor that was made in hell. So don't be afraid to just get it on there and make it into the symbol and have fun with it. And there we go, extra hair and the chest plate. Let her dry overnight, start working on her tomorrow. While she's drying here, we're gonna use this cape from the Kingdom Come Superman I did, or from, you know, the symbol. This is the torn up cape, because she has like some drapes that fall here and behind, and this is perfect because they're tattered. So we're just going to cut these with an X-Acto knife or with and glue those in place so that she can look exactly the way she's supposed to. Absolute Wonder Woman is all dry, and I'm going to put some platinum, some silver on the breastplate and up here on her tiara, or whatever it's called. I think tiara is the right word. In any case, she doesn't have as much silver as I thought she did. Like I thought that this was silver too, and really it's all red and then black and gunmetal gray. So the silver isn't going to get used as much, but I will take some and I'll paint up her sword so that we can get that ready too while I got the silver out. What I'm going to do now is, out of this piece of cape that I've kept, I'm going to cut the strips for her legs because she has a couple of, you know, whatever, fabric lines there. And I'm going to take this, which is from an old She-Spawn figure, and I'm going to cut this part out so that I can give her, she has kind of a shoulder thing on this shoulder right here. So I'm going to cut this into place so that we can have that on there, and then we'll get those glued in place and then we'll start painting. So we're going to start painting black first. Now on her arm I've got this pauldron thing, and I'm going to paint that black first, and I'm going to take the arm and I'm going to paint around the edges here red, because what I don't want, what you don't want, is to have paint, you know, black paint on between where you glue it, because that'll be bad. Yeah. You don't want to have paint in between the contact points because then it will come off, so you want it to be clean. And as you can see, this starts to make a big difference in the figure when you're going through and painting these big swaths of black and red. And from this point on, this is really what we'll be doing, is just painting. It's not going to be too difficult moving forward. I think I'm going to get a bigger brush for this section though. All right, don't kid yourself. There is a lot of black on this figure. And what I'm going to do once it's all done, all of these metal pieces, so the boots and this thing, they've all got a gunmetal gray sheen to them. So I'm going to do a light brushing of gunmetal gray over the top. So I'm just still painting things black. And now we're just putting on a dusting of gunmetal gray. Nice and simple, nice and quick. But it will give things the metallic look that we want, because that's what she's got on these things, is that they've got a metallic sheen in the comics. Let's go ahead and get moving on the red here. You can see I already did the arm and got it into place with the little pauldron shield up here. And all of this is going to be red. This Wonder Woman character from the Absolute Universe has, I mean, this actually does work, because it's got, a lot of the drawings have like these kinds of lines on it, and then she has a sort of belt like this. It's just red instead of gold. So I really think this is going to turn out just awesome. I'm very excited to see her complete. And obviously the rest of her is red, so legs, all of it. We'll just be moving through, getting it done. What I'm going to do right in here is I'm going to add some metallic red to just these areas, because this is all meant to be fabric, and in the comics obviously it's generally all the same color, but in real life they would be different materials, and so I kind of want to have that here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over, I got a little bit of schmutz there. So I'm going to go over it with just a light coating of this metallic red. And for those of you who've been watching the channel for a long time, you know that I do not like this metallic red. It goes on weird, it looks weird, but when I go over the top with my Model Air red, it pops pretty good. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go over just real quick with this red on everything that's gonna be armor, and then I'm gonna go over all of the red with my Model Air, which is an airbrush red. It's a Vallejo paint. And I'll go over all of the red, and that'll give this a slightly metallic sheen, but everything will have the same shade. And that Model Air red tends to fill in any of the color gaps. Like if things look a little different or a little weird, they don't quite match, that really does a great job of making those things match. So it's a really good use of color, and it will make everything really, really pop. It also makes everything look like it was molded in that color, which is what you want when you're doing a custom figure. And now let's go through with the Model Air red. This is such a wonderful shade. It's just this one, let me grab it. So it's just a Vallejo red, that's all. It's literally just red. But man, it really gives, it evens out your paints. So if the coloring, you know, because you want to go on nice and thin, and sometimes you'll have spots that they don't quite match because you went on thin to keep it from getting blotchy. And by doing this, it evens it all out. It makes it just beautiful. And so I'm so glad that I discovered this technique by accident when I did that Red Robin all those years ago. I'm so glad. And I'm going to go over all of the red, legs, arms, all of it. Now I really want these lines in here to stand out. Plus, when you go over with a wash, it can kind of make things a little bit more glossy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit, and I'm just going to, let me grab some paper towel, here we go. And I'm going to wipe. And see how that's just adding those textures. That's what I want. And if I need to go over again with more Model Air red to deaden it, I can. You can just put it on, move it around, get it in those cracks, and it will add a little bit more of a sheen to things. And just make them pop. And that's what you want. You want somebody to look at this on the shelf and go, wow, that's really cool. And have them think that you bought it at the store that way. And you can't always do that. And sometimes things don't turn out the way you want them to, but you know, it's better to experiment and find that something didn't work than not try and be disappointed that you just had nothing, you know, that it doesn't look better than it might have looked. So don't be afraid to try things. I try things all the time that don't work. You guys see it, and I show it off on the show, and that's okay. But when they do work out, things look really, really cool. Now, one thing I wanted to show you, I wasn't sure if it would turn out, but I took some silver and I went over a couple of the lines in here and right here, and then painted them over with the Model Air red, and it did make some really nice contrasts between these. I wasn't sure if it was going to work out, so I was like, well, I'll experiment. But it did, so you can see there's a couple of different layers now, and she looks a little bit more interesting. So something to think about. Since that Model Air goes on thin enough, you can do this sort of stuff with it. So now I'm using my magnifying glass and this tiny little brush to paint the star on her forehead. I'm just gonna go down and across. So it's fairly simple, but it's very, very detailed. And I just want to make sure that it looks right. So I got these tiny brushes now, and they work really nice for stuff like this. And so just gonna go through, get this painted, then I'll probably call it a night. The last thing before I call it a night, she has lots of straps along her legs. I was looking at a picture, and I don't necessarily want to do a lot in that regard, but I figured if I did a couple with some fabric paint, that it will look more like it does in the comic. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to kind of come across like this in a couple of spots and just add some so that it looks more like she's got some fabric along here. Now, as all of you know, I like fabric paint. I like how it kind of does this sort of stuff. Gives you the chance to put some texture on if you want. And it's not something you have to do, but with her it might be fun to add some of these straps in places. And once these dry, they'll be thinner and less noticeable, but they will catch the light enough that it'll show like, oh, she's got some straps on her legs. Now here on her arm, she doesn't have the bracelets that she usually has. She just has a strap. There are several straps that go around. So I'm gonna do brown to start out, get this painted brown, match all this. Then we'll dry brush, probably a bone white over the top to hit those edges, and that'll give us the look that we're after. And then we will start working on the tattoo, because her tattoo is a major part of this character on her arm. And that's going to take some precision work. I'll have to go nice and slow with a thin brush. And yeah, you can also see, toys sometimes there's the dings up on the fingers. This is a used figure. Obviously it was played with or moved around. The other hand's the same. We'll fix that with a little bit of flesh tone. While the brown is drying, I'm going to hit her hair with just some dark blue dry brush. Now what this does is it just gives a little bit of texture. You'll see this on toys sometimes where the character has black hair. And it really just gives the hair a little bit of life. It's subtle, but it really makes it look better. So that's what I'm going to do here. And this is a smart thing to do with characters that have black hair because it makes them look more real. Not that they have blue hair, it's just that when you have black hair, it catches the light differently. And so this lets you kind of make it look like hair. Just like a dry brush on a fabric, something that's supposed to look like fabric, like if she were wearing jeans, a white dry brush really light will actually make it look like fabric. It's the same thing here. This actually just makes it look like real hair. Her sword usually has a couple of red lines here at the bottom. Now, there's normally two. This doesn't have like a slot for two. So I'm just gonna go in here. It does have this slot right here. And so I'm going to fill this with red and then call it good. Like I could put another line, but I don't know. I like when there's these little sections where it looks like that's where it was supposed to be. I don't want to create something that doesn't look right. So I'm going to do it this way, and this will work just fine. All right, I got a picture of her tattoo here, and the time has come to paint it. And I got this really thin brush. I'm just going to go through and go nice and slow. And I'm using my Model Air red that's very liquidy. That should hopefully go on nice and smooth and not too blotchy. Obviously, hand doing this it's never going to be perfect. You got to accept that. It's like I say that all the time. But with stuff like this, you're going to have to get it as close as you can
and be good with it. Like I was talking to my brother yesterday, and he's like, "Oh, we could print a decal. We could do something like that." We could, but at the end of the day, that sounds like a gigantic pain in the butt, honestly. All right, well, we got a circle. Okay, I am really happy with how she turned out. This is awesome. Obviously, when you're doing stuff by hand, there's imperfections along the way, but I love doing it this way. So if you wanted to get like her breastplate perfect, you could 3D print it, you could do that sort of stuff. I love molding it like this, and so it's got more of like a hand, almost like it was hand hammered, but I like that look, especially for the Absolute universe, because with Batman and with Wonder Woman, everything is a little bit more handmade in those comics, and so it makes sense. It works for me. But this was an easy one to do. I mean, it was time consuming because you gotta do a bunch of stuff, but man, she looks cool. And I saw yesterday a leaked picture of the figure that they're coming out with. It was small, so it was a little bit grainy, but she looks really, really great and very close to this. So it made me quite happy. But she's gonna look amazing with my Absolute Batman, my Absolute Superman, and my Absolute Bane. And those are the ones that I wanted from this universe. I'm very excited that we're getting figures of these from McFarlane. The Superman looked amazing. The Batman looked really cool, but I need to see the scale, obviously. And that's what we're all thinking, is he gonna be big enough? But I am excited that they're kind of finishing out the line with these three figures. I think it's perfect, and it's kind of poetic, and I'm super excited. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a really, really fun one, and I'm very excited that I have her now in the collection. Thank you so much for watching. Check out StephenHumanAuthor.com for all of my sci-fi thrillers, on Amazon as well, and on like Audible if you're into audiobooks. Check out my sci-fis, and I'll see you guys soon with another custom.